Hello, welcome to the May edition of Detroit Solar Talk, sponsored by Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association and my son. We're going to ask everyone to mute if you're not one of the speakers tonight, and then what we'll be doing is having a Q&A at the end of the session. Many of you are familiar with how my son and Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association hosts these weekly talks, and the third Thursday of each month is Detroit's turn to tell a solar story. But tonight we're going to go far, far away, actually right within our own city limits, to another city called Highland Park. And Highland Park has a fascinating history. It's a 3 square mile area, kind of adjacent to Hamtramck, our other city within the city. So we have 2 cities located right within our own boundaries that chose to stay independent when the city was annexing properties back in the 1920s. So they do have their own government, they have their own school district, their own fire department, totally independent from the city of Detroit. Chrysler and Ford had major headquarters there. It's actually where the Model T was perfected before they moved to the Rouge plant, and was once the city of 2 major auto manufacturing. And with Highland Park next door, there were several major auto factories right within the city limits or very close by. That's another whole story to tell, but I hope you have a chance, if you're interested, to look up more about the history of Highland Park. It's a beautiful city. It has unfortunately lost the Chrysler headquarters as well as the Ford plant many, many years ago. And so they have become a city of destiny. They choose their own destiny. And a lot of times, those of us here in Detroit are a little jealous about how Highland Park just gets some things done. And this is an example today that we're going to hear about, where Highland Park leaped forward and got one of the major grants of 23 cities nationwide to be able to participate in a brand new program through the Biden administration and Department of Energy and quite a few other government entities, called Communities LEAP. So tonight we're going to be speaking with 4 of the community representatives from Highland Park. First of all, we have Jackson Koppel, who is the lead coordinator for the program. We also have Gracie Wooten, who is one of the Highland Park residents and part of the advisory committee as a resident. Many of you already know Juan Shannon with Parker Village. He's been active with my son for many, many years. And then also Rafael Mojica is with us, and he represents the organization called Souladarity, the program that has started the whole effort to bring streetlights back to Highland Park using solar power. So I'm going to sit back tonight and let Jackson and the team give the story of how they have been able to leap ahead and obtain this incredible, amazing award. And we're all behind you here. So Jackson, take it away.
Cool. Thanks for having us. As mentioned, my name's Jackson. I'm speaking today in just my role as one of the folks who worked to get this grant in and submitted, and is now serving in just a supportive and coordinating capacity. We're going to be just learning a little bit today about what went into getting this grant and how we're planning to use it. And folks will introduce themselves in more depth as they speak. So we can go to the next slide.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Cool. So just by way of agenda, we're going to present on a little further background on what is the LEAP program, talk about some of the conditions and background work that made success in getting this possible, who is the multi-stakeholder team that is leading this process from Highland Park, what does the team hope to achieve with this LEAP's capacity, and how you as folks who are interested and maybe want to be following along and engaging in what we're trying to get participate. And we're going to start with this first question of what is the LEAP program? And I'm actually going to pass it on to someone I look up to a lot in this work in the community, Ms. Gracie Wooten, to speak to this a little bit. So Ms. Gracie, you can go ahead.
Thank you,
And
Jack.
please let me know when you want the next slide.
Okay, I will. And as Jackson said, my name is Gracie Wooten, and I'm going to soon be appointed to the Highland Park Sustainability Task Force, which is something that we've been working forward to have happen in Highland Park for a while. I'm a member of Highland Park Human Rights Coalition, which is a supporter of the LEAP application and the LEAP process. Next slide.
Last name is Dave Wooten.
I know.
Okay, the Communities LEAP program is a 12-month partnership. And as was spoken to previously, we won this as a competitive grant with the Department of Energy, and it's an offer of technical assistance to assist frontline communities to develop a citywide clean energy plan to reduce local air pollution, increase energy resilience, lower utility costs and energy burdens, create good paying jobs, find funding for future projects. And I was very excited to be a part of this because this really gives Highland Park, which has a high, citizens have a high energy burden. LEAP was looking to support communities because of racial injustice, economic justice, environment and climate justice reasons. So we fit the bill. Highland Park, in Highland Park, we pay a very high energy cost. Most of us are seniors and we're living on fixed incomes and utility bills keep rising, so a lot of citizens in Highland Park, have wanted to have solar. We believe that, we have a right to actually, and the ability to choose the form of energy that we want. And we know that solar will help us lower our energy burden. Next slide.
I think Highland Park is where Sam was working. Sam's turn.
Working on what?
Solar.
Oh.
Please
Some
mute if you're not the speaker. Okay, please mute if you're not the speaker.
Okay, and some of the important details about LEAP is the application must include commitments from community stakeholders. A background organization is needed. 24 to 36 communities were actually selected, and it is a $500,000 grant in technical assistance. So this is not, funding. The funding is the technical assistance. The community stakeholder piece was very important because they wanted to see people from the city government participate, as well as community groups and those who are actually active in having sustainable projects. Next slide.
Okay, I'm doing my sliding thing. Slide. Whoops. Is that the
Okay,
right one?
the 5 pathways to power. Highland Park qualified for 5 out of the 7 pathways. Clean energy infrastructure planning, energy efficiency and electrification of buildings and homes, microgrids and energy storage, newer enhanced manufacturing, transportation and mobility, electrification. As I mentioned before, there were already solar projects being done in Highland Park. Plus, some of the things we need is to actually have some of the city be responsible for helping in terms of ordinances and things like that, as well as, we need support from the state and federal government in changing some laws to make Highland Park more successful. Okay, so I'll pass this on to Jackson, help me out. Who am I passing this to?
Juan is taking the next bit.
Okay, thank you, Juan.
Thank you, Gracie. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
Hopefully, and you are too.
I'm hanging in here. My name is Juan Shannon, and I am the founder and CEO of Parker Village. I've become by default a sustainable developer and a member of the multi-stakeholder team that applied for the Communities LEAP grant and continues to act on the steering committee of that multi-stakeholder team. A lot of things have gone into what is making our success possible, but it boils down to the tenacity and the heart to follow through with the ideas of creating a better Highland Park. To that effect, over the years, we've already installed 17 total streetlights, just 10 in the last year, some of which provides free Wi-Fi, to kind of a mesh net type situation, so that citizens that can just simply pull up and join in if they don't have Wi-Fi in other places. We've also activated different things within Parker Village and within Avalon Village as public spaces, so there is geothermal and rooftop solar over at the Homework House in Avalon Village. There's block-wide expansions planned for both villages. We have the solar pergola and deck and solar shed over at Parker Village, and adding a bunch of other little technology caveats on the project. And a few years ago, we launched the Energy Sustainability and Tech Fair, which was an idea that came about after being invited to several other fairs around the state, where I felt that, Highland Park needs to have access to this type of education, this type of information. And with Souladarity and several other sponsors and partners, we've pulled that off twice, and we hope to do it again this August. So those things, all in a nutshell, go back to what I said: the tenacity and the love in the heart, the desire to make Highland Park better. And that's the reasons for our success. We'll pass this on to Raphael.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. We're very proud to do all the work, that we've been doing, with you guys over there in Parker Village. And I just wanted, first of all, to introduce myself. My name is Raphael Mojica. I'm the program director for Souladarity, and I'm also a member of the Multi-Stakeholder Team. And I just want to really just elaborate on a lot of the work that our Highland Park community orgs have done in terms of conducting, many research projects in the community that have been aimed at achieving various different goals that are focused around energy justice and energy democracy. And this work in community research has helped to form the foundation for the technical assistance that we're receiving from the Department of Energy's Communities LEAP program. One community study has been the solar streetlight feasibility study, which was conducted in 2016. It was a complete feasibility analysis for citywide solar lighting, which was, when finished, presented to city leadership, and which has also remained to this day a foundation for continuing development of solar lighting, which we're engaged in, in this year. And another study has been the community solar feasibility study. This was done in 2017 and 2018. And this was a collaborative project that was done in partnership with students from U of M, where we identified a model for community solar-like development that would be possible under current policy, state policy, that we have here in Michigan, and also to put a special emphasis on understanding how to generate community benefits through it. And then here is the Blueprint for Energy Democracy. It is one of our guiding documents in our organization here in Souladarity. This was done in 2019. And when we completed it, we released this as almost like a policy and projects framework that helps informs, a deep critical analysis and also democratic community engagement to describe a holistic policy pathway towards making Highland Park a global model of sustainability and self-determination. And then finally, and most recently, was Let Communities Choose. This was building, through actually a collaborative effort with the Union of Concerned Scientists. This was building upon that we completed and released in 2021 a technical analysis of the feasibility of reaching 100% clean energy for Highland Park and matching policy recommendations. So even at a time where there was minimal support from city leadership, the community took the initiative to begin creating these analyses to have values aligned and highly feasible plans to achieve community energy goals. Next slide, please.
It should be easier for me, but here we go.
Not sure. There we go.
Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, took a while.
That
Okay.
should be
Slow
it, yeah.
reaction.
No worries, it's all good. So the collaborative work between the groups who became eventually the members of the multi-stakeholder team formalized into the Highland Park Community Crisis Coalition, or as we fondly call it around here, HPC3. And this was initially done in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we, through our collaborative efforts, we delivered direct services and organized to get Highland Park to the front of the line for relief and infrastructural support. And as you can see on the slide, this was done through several milestones of achievements that came in the form of 4,000 pounds of food being produced and delivered. And this was also being done through the construction of 150 garden beds. And then also over 100,000 newsletters were distributed out into the community to make sure that we were connecting residents with the necessary resources that they needed to help them get the support that they needed through the COVID-19 pandemic. And then also $15,000+ in the form of utility assistance. With the community experiencing high levels of unemployment and being unable to maintain or sustain their sources of income, they were starting to experience a lot of issues when it came to paying their monthly utility bills. And that's what this was geared towards, to help bring some form of relief to it. And then, of course, 100,000 bottles of water was being delivered to the community because even though the COVID-19 pandemic was taking the form of a virus, it was having compounding effects in terms of having access to various different kinds of necessities, very similar to, the utilities. We wanted to make sure that our residents were having access to clean water. And then our emergency resiliency kits, which contained several items to help assist households with the necessary items that they would need to, keep their home in safe and healthy order. And then, of course, connecting to that is the wellness services as well, too, that we were able to help provide. Next slide, please. So this led to establish, the Just Recovery Task Force with the City Council. And the Just Recovery Task Force, Just Recovery Plan that was produced through the task force was a major step in establishing an effort to establish, this plan and vision with formal buy-in from the community coalition and city leadership. And the vision is focused on the 6x6x6 model. So what that is we want to create 6 resiliency hubs in various different neighborhoods throughout the city. And then also we want these this Just Recovery Task Force to be focusing on 6 important areas in terms of housing, assets and utility security, medical services, food and clean water security, jobs, the economy, education and investment, transportation and mobility, and then finally communications and connectivity. And we wanted to make sure that through the efforts of this task force, that there is going to be an emphasis on delivering these benefits to all residents. All of us need to be working together in order to protect each other. That is really at the core essence of what the vision is all about. Next slide, please. Go. Thank you. And then finally, we have a very wide range of support outside of Highland Park. Listed here are the logos of every entity who provided a letter of support, with the exception of the J40 Accelerator, who was providing critical capacity to the application itself. And these letters commended our work and committing their energy to assist with the technical assistance once received. And you can see parts of the Michigan state government, other cities, energy nonprofits, and elected leadership. And when combined, these relationships were there because of a decade of of organizing, advocacy work, and coalition building taken on by the members of HPC3. And next slide, please. So thanks to all of those combined efforts, I'm sorry, it's almost like taking away the suspense of it, but next slide, please. We got in. So as you can see, you know, with our presence here, we want to, you know, share with you, you know, more information about this next wonderful, amazing step that we're in with 22 other communities across the nation that will also be experiencing these benefits. So I'll pass this back over to Juan.
Thanks, Raphael. Not sure where.
Diane, you can go to the probably advance 2 slides to the photos of the stakeholder team.
All right.
Is it that? It's showing on my screen.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So
Very delayed action.
thanks. So the multi-stakeholder team includes, of course, the City of Highland Park, which is the Building and Engineering Department / Water Department, which is represented by Damon Garrett. And then, of course, the incomparable Sue Harris of Avalon Village, Shamika Nichols, and Raphael Maiko from Souladarity, and this other crazy guy that seems to come about all the time, Juan Shannon. We won't talk about him, but that's the team that you know, really went after this Communities LEAP grant situation, and we were fortunate enough to, as Raph said, to be amongst the 23 people or 23 communities that were able to receive this grant opportunity. This is important to me because, you know, we've been fighting quite a long time and against some pretty heavy odds in order to move the city forward ever since the streetlights were repossessed here in the city some years ago. I think it was 2011. I keep forgetting. It's kind of like one of those memories you want to block out of your mind. But yeah, so ever since that happened, you know, we've been fighting in one way or another to bring it to the point that it is today. And having our application accepted for the Communities LEAP, it just really, how do we say, it validated a lot of the work that we've already done, and it gave us a little more hope for the work that is still to come. That's you know, my personal take on what has happened with this, and the people that are leading this effort. I believe in all of them. I have faith in all of them. You can actually say I actually kind of like most of them. Every now and then. Yeah, I throw Jackson in there as well. Well, I got to scream at it? Oh, okay. Anyway, I'm going to pass this over to Gracie before I get emotional. And no, I'm not crying.
Thank you, Juan.
You're welcome.
Okay, next slide. Okay, what does the team hope to achieve? Next slide. Okay, well, the technical assistance is great, but it has to lead to dollars for implementation. So we're looking forward to this technical assistance so we can grow. Pathways to Power is a step towards Justice 40 investments to right historic wrongs and make Highland Park a model of sustainability. You know, what I'm looking forward to is in terms of the technical assistance, is the fact that we have the ability to actually move forward, not only in energy in terms of maybe even becoming energy dependent, but also, you know, to think about, you know, our water infrastructure also. Part of the study that was done with Highland Park communities about community choose, and hopefully everybody will get a chance to read that, was that we could achieve 100% clean energy, and one part of it was the Community Water and Energy Resource Center. And it's really great that the Highland Park Water Department is participating in this project with us, because, you know, we're looking at energy as well as water. Water is very important for Highland Park, you know, the reopening of our water plant. Let me pass this on to Raphael. Oh, is this my slide too? Oh, okay. Well, this is my slide. I thought it was yours, Raphael.
Oh, that's okay.
As we were talking about it, you know, the scope of the technical assistance would have to be and is municipal policy and strategies, and also project models. So, you know, and so, you know, we need the support of the city to actually make ordinances and set clean energy benchmarks for us. So let me pass this on. Oh, and also, you know, one of the things that would be good also is to establish some kind of local revolving loan fund. That would really push forward this project. So the technical assistance could really aid us in these things. Raphael.
So moving into, you know, a little bit more detail about the technical assistance scope, on a municipal and policy strategy level, there are several intended deliverables. One being, you know, electric infrastructure evaluation, city policy auditing, energy program recommendations, and then also conducting an analysis when it comes to energy pathways, such as the incumbent utility, sustainable energy utility, and then also a municipal utility approach. And then also transit and mobility audits, and then finally an economic development impact analysis. Next slide, please. So in terms of the project models, there is, you know, a general process that we would all be going through for all of these, you know, through prioritization, feasibility, financial models, and a funding prospect analysis. And then, as Ms. Gracie mentioned earlier in her part of the presentation, we qualified for 5 out of the 7 areas, and those are community resilience, solar and storage microgrid, a solar powered electric transit, or a community owned, or a series of community owned solar projects, weatherization and electrification of homes, or you know, as many people understand it, you know, as energy efficiency. And then finally, you know, local construction plus workforce development on solar streetlights, which is a big part of Souladarity's work as well when it comes to streetlights. Next slide, please. So in parallel to Communities LEAP, the city is seeking to secure assistance from SoulSmart to update their municipal policies, their codes and ordinances related to solar. And the Polar Bear Sustainable Energy Co-op is looking to the National Community Solar Partnership to advance development of community-owned solar. And then I'd like to pass on for this final section back over to Jackson.
Cool. A whole lot of information in a short period of time. There's actually one minded of it today that shout out is due to Ollie and RCI for being, I think, the ones originally pushing the city on their solar ordinances being wildly out of date. So the SoulSmart program is specifically a separate parallel kind of TA for them to actually get assistance on those updates. So just flagging shout out is due to y'all for getting that on their radar originally. So as we proceed here, this is going to be an ongoing process. We're at the very beginning. The technical assistance scope we laid out is what we put into the proposal, and we still have to actually create the technical assistance agreement with Department of Energy. In the meantime, I want to flag some ways that we can all be involved in this. So we can go to the next slide.
Wrong way. I had, okay.
Cool. So keeping with the overall sort of view of this, we need to uplift Highland Park's work, even the relatively small slice of it that we presented today, to decision makers and funders that are going to be shaping Justice 40 investments. We already know DTE is trying to get a big piece of this money so they can make up for decades of not investing in their infrastructure properly. I've been writing testimony in the rate case the last 3 days, so it's big on my mind. We need to be uplifting that $40 need to go directly to community enterprises, community organizations, and local governments. That 40% of benefits needs to really focus on implementing community-led and community-directed visions. Every opportunity you have to raise that up or help us connect with people who can shape it, please do. Specifically, like the SoulSmart thing, the city has moved ahead with starting to work with SoulSmart on improving their ordinances. I know that we have a bunch of solar installers here, many of whom are, at least one of whom is based in Highland Park, and a bunch who are in the area. And I think the city getting direct input on here's what needs to be done right or done better, or what we encounter poorly in other communities, that's a place that the city is definitely moving ahead on right now. And beyond that, offering your expertise and experience to the multi-stakeholder team as we navigate this technical assistance process. There is a lot we are trying to accomplish, and as much as $500,000 seems like a whole lot of money, it's also not a lot when it comes to trying to do all the different things. So offering expertise and engaging in this process so that we can make the most of this and come out with a really solid plan to move the city forward is going to make a huge difference. We can go to the next slide. There are two folks, myself on the HPC3 side, and Eric Deerlings, who's a staff for Metro Consulting Associates, that is the staff, the Water and Engineering Department for City of Highland Park. Our multi-stakeholder team consists of extremely busy people, so we are trying to assist with fielding and coordinating and making sure all the sources of support are actually organized, and our multi-stakeholder team is well supported to utilize all the different offers of support that are out there. Eric is a good primary contact for connecting in with the city. Damon Garrett is the primary representative. Eric is kind of fielding some of the intake there, and I'm fielding some of the intake on the HPC3 side. So that is what we've got to share. It's a very exciting start to a conversation, and we're going to be getting into a lot of work over the next 12 months to try and take all these analyses and visions and turn them into concrete and steel in the ground and community benefiting energy projects. So I will stop there, and I think we have the rest of the time open for questions.
I think there will be a lot of questions, and thank you so much for all of you with your hard work to get to this place and to be able to receive this technical assistance. And I know that the level of expertise that you all have developed over the years is really going to help. There's a question. Let me just quickly ask, what's the timeline on this? And then we'll go to the first question.
So we are to have our first meeting with DOE this month. I think they're a little behind schedule, but the scoping of the technical assistance agreement should be over the next couple of months. The core of the research analysis and TA work is slated to run through end of December. And then in the first quarter will be kind of like processing, closing the program and all that. That's supposed to be the timeline.
So you'll be our May speaker in 2023 to give the results, is that, or maybe April? Yeah, we'll look forward to that. Dave, you have a question. Dave Curtis?
Yeah, I just wondered the MPSC's involvement with not only Highland Park, but all of these type of projects. If they've been a positive force, I guess.
I can give a first answer, welcome other folks to come in. So Souladarity has been very active at the commission for the last several years in rate cases and the integrated resource plan. And while we haven't always agreed with staff's position on things, there has been a very active dialogue. And I think when we have been trying to, for example, model out solar projects for low-income housing in the Hope Village neighborhood, Julie and her team were very open to us and very quick to help us figure out what was and wasn't possible. And they were very quick to provide on relatively short notice a letter of support for this application, basically saying, we will be there to assist the team with understanding what is and isn't possible in the current regulatory structure, what things would need to be discussed at the commission, and making sure the staff is available to the multi-stakeholder team. So while we certainly haven't always aligned on everything, I'm sure I've got to read their testimony today to see how aligned or not we are. Certainly been very available and wanting to support some of our front-facing work. Juan, I don't know if you or Raphael or anyone would have anything to add to that for folks you've had a chance to interact with.
Yeah, so we understand that the work that Communities LEAP is doing across the country is going to be, if they don't have it yet, they're going to be attaining, firsthand a very deep understanding of the importance of the different levels of government that comes into play in terms of the policies and regulations, and how it impacts efforts like this, and whether it's going to make efforts like this actually count in the long term. So that's why, on a community level, we want to make sure that we're not just engaging, on a municipal level, but we're also engaging, with our regulatory commission, and then also, with our state lawmakers who create the policies that impact the efforts, you know, that we might be taking in the future with renewable energy technology. And it looks like Ali's got his hand up there.
Ali, we wanted to hear from you. I'm going to stop sharing here a second so we can get your face up there in a nice big. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Nothing to add to what they shared and generated. I just want to say that I'm very honored, right, to have you all as neighbors and comrades, and the work that you're really doing in the dedication and the process that you've been making a difference for the folks in Highland Park, including me and my family and my son. It's really making a difference, and I think the example that y'all are creating is expanding out, you know, even beyond Highland Park, even beyond Detroit and Michigan. So I just wanted to put that acknowledgments out there around what y'all, you know, put together and organized for the city. It's a major accomplishment. So congratulations.
That's really something when you see that map of the whole United States, and here's Highland Park, right there in Michigan. It's just makes you feel so proud. It's just amazing. Mary, introduce yourself and you have a question.
Yeah, hi, Mary. I'm just curious, you mentioned the part of the technical analysis will be looking at the feasibility of creating an SEU. Is that right?
So
we're still, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Raph.
Oh, no, it's all right. So the areas of potential focus, and keyword potential, does, you know, touch on, you know, alternative energy utility structures, you know, outside of, you know, your traditional IOU or investor owned utility structure. But before, you know, we would even be able to hope and dream and start to, you know, put any kind of feasibility studies, you know, with an alternative to having an IOU being our energy deliverer here in Highland Park, we must first engage in a robust level with the community to understand, you know, what is going to be the main focus or two areas of focus for the $500,000 technical assistance funds.
I see. So there is no like concrete plan as of yet. It's just one of the options that you are thinking about looking at.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I'll say in parallel, you know, we've definitely, I know that in the, you know, we've had conversations with the folks who are advocating for the SEU model in Ann Arbor. We've also been advocating for exploring our, you know, I think there was in parallel to the city council asked for community opinion on whether Highland Park should consider forming its own utility, whole cloth. And I think in the last couple of weeks, Souladarity submitted, did a number of events to get input on that and submitted some perspective from Highland Parkers on that, including a memo essentially saying, yes, we absolutely should explore a full public power utility. So we're kind of looking at what's the spectrum of options and wanting to really have a good sense of what's available, what we can do right now, and what are those sort of more visionary transformative approaches that we need to explore.
Great. So there's 5 areas you qualified for, but now you've got to narrow it down to 2. Is that, Raphael, what you were implying there, that there will be 2 key areas of investigation?
Yeah, like Jackson, you know, said earlier, you know, $500,000 may seem like a lot of money at first, but once you start to spread it around, it starts to, you know, really manifest in the reality of that it's not that much. So in order to be able to conduct truly effective studies in the community, we have to be able to prioritize and focus those technical assistance funds to a limited number of areas.
Okay, cool. Diane Cheklich, question.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations to all of your team for getting this award and for charging ahead to try and address all these, each one of which is a huge issue in Highland Park and the area. So as a Detroiter, I'm kind of envious, but I know that you're going to set a shining example for the whole region. So I really wish you all the best success. I know that the local government is one of your stakeholder participants. I'm just curious what their level of appetite is for some of the innovative kinds of things that have been discussed, including the SEU or the municipal utility. Is there appetite for that at the local government level? Because obviously that support is crucial to taking that type of a step. And then I had a second follow-up question. Are you aware of any other case studies around the country where potential funding for your initiatives could come from? Thank you.
Thank you. Who's going to take that one? Jackson?
I can share, just reiterate that I think, we've had definitely a big shift in the appetite that local government has had. Truthfully, the fact that they actually agreed to be a part of this program when we put forward that we thought it was a good idea, and ultimately became the lead applicant in it, that, for us was a huge step in that direction of really validating what we've been working on for a lot of years. And in parallel to that, as I mentioned, City Council did put this resolution out there saying we want opinion from the community on if we should pursue a public utility. I think the council members who put that forward finally got to that place after the major blackouts that happened last year. They were just so extremely frustrated with the poor service, especially after they upgraded our substation and said that was supposed to improve reliability. People were so frustrated. They were like, well, we need to start getting some opinions in here about what our alternatives are. So I think there is a lot of frustration with the current situation, and we've at least seen some really good actions from City Council, and some of the city staff have started to take this a little more seriously of late. I think the turnaround on even the solar code issue and the level of attention that's being paid to that now, as opposed to, what was it, a year and a half ago when RCI first brought it up to them. I don't remember the exact timing. There's definitely been a change just in the last 12 to 18 months of the level of not just verbal support, but willingness to take action and pass resolutions and move things down the court. I think from where it was a while ago. Obviously, Juan Raphael, I would pass it to y'all to say anything else that's on your mind there.
We have a few more questions, so let's, I think to follow up on Diane's question about sharing. So I'm sure you're going to share with the larger community here what your experiences are. And I think the suggestion that you offered others to join in the process is the #1 way of sharing, right? Is to get more people involved. Okay, next question, Dale.
Thanks for the presentation. Just wanted, your one slide referred to how other people could help. Who are the decision makers and funders who control the J40 money, and how do we contact them?
Well, for GLREA folks, I will mention there is an open docket recently opened at the Public Service Commission asking for input from folks who give input in those formats about how The utilities and the commission should access the streams of Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act money that are supposed to flow through the utilities and the commission. That's one concrete place where public comments on that record would make a difference. Other key folks would be local elected officials, right? Anyone who is going to have some say in how the language of federal decisions shaping the actual sort of scope and focus of Justice $40, and state officials who are going to be kind of shaping it once it gets to the state level, are the kind of folks that are going to make a big difference. We're far from having a highly strategic, a fully built out advocacy strategy on this yet. But I know that those are going to be some key venues for shaping those conversations.
Great question. And I think it is something that we should all keep our eye on right now. This might be the last question that we're wrapping it up to 8 o'clock here. Kent, what's on your mind?
A lot of pressure here with this last question. Hopefully I'll do it justice. I have a deep interest in the resiliency hub piece. Are you at a point where you really threshed that out? You know, how you're going about selecting the locations, you know, what are the criteria? What are the supplies you'll have at each? How do you promote it within a community? Who runs it? All that kind of stuff. Is that down on, you know, at a website anywhere or anywhere to take a look at?
Well, the first two hubs are Avalon Village and Parker Village. And as far as promoting it, we pretty much just call everybody. No, we've got a monthly newsletter that goes out. We've got a couple of different websites that's you know, out that put out information. Soulidarity's website, of course, HPC3's website. So in short, you know, we've discussed some of the other locations, but two of the resiliency hubs are in active development.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Great presentation.
Thank you for joining us. And I do think that maybe we'll be doing before a year from now, perhaps a follow-up, just to keep everyone informed on where you are in the plan, and how people can also become engaged in what needs you have, because frankly, you're going to be it for the state of Michigan, right? So we're going to all look to you for this great opportunity. I'll give you last words there, Jackson, Sean, and Juan. Anybody else who wants to sign off for Highland Park? Okay, if not, then I'll be the one that signs off. Thank you so much again, everyone, for participating. I know it was a little departure to travel all the way to Highland Park for our Detroit Solar Story. It wasn't a far trip, but man, are they far out with all their plans and all their ambitions. So we'll be keeping in touch with everyone about that. The June Detroit Solar Story is going to be replaced, I believe, with a strategic planning session or a 6-month planning session for the GLREA membership. More information will be coming about that. So I can't announce a Detroit Solar Story for June, but I know that we'll be sharing more exciting events happening here in Detroit in the coming months. Thank you all for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you around. Thanks.
HP for